and he said it looks like the White House is a no-go. Now, as we know, they're going to put on the best fight card that the UFC has ever seen, the best combat sports fight card that the world has ever seen, and I cannot wait for it. Happening at the White House with Donald Trump there, 5,000 people by the lawn, and then another 100,000 people close by watching via big screen technology. It's going to be quite the spectacle. Now, tired because he didn't want to face Tom Aspinall. We know that he was offered $30 million, but still didn't want to do it. He retired from the sport. Alex Pereira came back, knocked out Magomed Ankalaev, did it in 29 seconds, which was just ridiculous, okay? And then after that fight, Pereira said he wants to fight Jon Jones at the White House.
Alex, you're looking great. Who do you want to fight next?
Jon Jones, watch your house, Sherma.
And Jon Jones said, yeah, I want Pereira.
I'd like to fight Alex Pereira at the White House.
So it would seem that that is a match made in heaven in terms of star power, in terms of the magnitude of the matchup, and in terms of them wanting to put on the biggest fights at the White House. That would have seemed like it ticked all the boxes. But of course, if you remember rightly, Dana White said he's not sure, don't quote me on this, something like he needs fighters he can depend on, okay? He needs fighters that he can trust. He needs to put on a main event with someone involved that is dependable, that isn't going to back out the last second.
You know, I felt about him. I can't risk putting him in big positions in a big spot and have something go wrong, especially the White House card.
Remember, you got to think they gave Jon what he wanted. They went on in this whole campaign about how Jon Jones was the greatest of all time, and then apparently offered him $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall, and he just decided that he didn't want to do it, that he was living his best life, okay? He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to take on Tom Aspinall. He didn't have anything more to prove. More importantly, and I'm not getting into whether or not he could have beaten Tom, that's not important, but from the UFC's perspective, he wasn't dependable. They agreed to something in person, apparently, but Jones backed out, okay? And he can't run that risk at the White House. They can't put on this massive event with someone like Jon Jones as the main event, or even the co-main event, and him to decide halfway through it, or through the training camp, or leading up to it, or just on a whim like, you know what, I don't need this, okay? Now, I don't think Jon Jones would do that, because Pereira, stylistically, is a favourable matchup. Look at what he did to Cyril Gane. Look at what he's done to everyone throughout his career. And yeah, Pereira moving up to heavyweight, it's not surprising because the man's gigantic for heavyweight. He's almost 40 years old. He's 38. He's not getting any younger. And every time you make weight, it comes at a cost, you know, and it gets harder as you get older. And of course, he wants to be a three-weight division champion as well. There's a few people out there that want to do that. Conor McGregor is one of them. Ilia Topuria is one of them. And so does Islam Makhachev. And whoever does that will literally be the most successful MMA fighter in the history of the human race. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people want to do that. However, going back to the original point, Pereira says it's a no-go. So who is he going to fight? Because Pereira, from what I understand, and what he seems to be saying, is that he's moving up to heavyweight. And if you look at what he's done at light heavyweight, he doesn't really have anything to prove. He's beaten everyone. Yeah, he lost to Magomed. He came back, he beat him in 29 seconds. But prior to that, he took out everyone. Now, there's only one person at light heavyweight that kind of really does have a case, a claim, and that is Carlos Ulberg. And that is a fight that I would like to see. However, with respect to Carlos, as great of a fighter and a human being that he is, he's not the biggest name. That's not to say that he wouldn't be a tough fight, because he would be a tough fight. Stylistically, the size and everything, the skill that he